Hey guys, what's up? Unrested back after a very long break. Sorry, I apologize. It was, the holidays and lots of other stuff going on. I guess I'll just start the video out by saying thank you for what was for me a great 2020. I know for some people it was very bad and I'm very sorry for that. A couple shout outs I want to do. There is a great game developer who also lives in Japan, who's making a game called Solace Crafting. That's not S-O-U-L, that's S-O-L-A-C-E, Solace, like as in peaceful, crafting. And he's working on a great survival game. I'd highly suggest you check it out if you're into any kind of survival game and support a very small creator who's doing everything by himself. One other thing is a podcast I was recently on called Kings of Kanto. They interview me about some of the darker times that I went through here in Japan. So if you're interested in listening to some of the hardest parts of living in Japan for me and how I overcame those, I'd highly suggest checking that out. With that said, I want to jump right into it and kind of just give you an update where we're at here on the channel. If you haven't noticed already, my videos are far more sparse than they used to be back when I used to record every day. I just feel like this is the most comfortable situation for me if I want to keep doing this for the long run. I really enjoy just going over topics that not just interest me, but are asked by my audience, that are new and refreshing. But where I see the channel going is purely sticking to the JFAQ content where people ask questions about Japan, and also kind of where I took it last year and it went very well, comparing Western and Eastern thoughts on things. I've noticed the longer I live here, the more my thoughts, my paradigm, the zeitgeist of the way I live my life has shifted to an almost Eastern balance. I find myself being very temperate in most of my beliefs, where I see the good things about being a conservative and a liberal, and I find myself completely in between. And that's kind of the way I think most Japanese here live their lives, is they're very accepting of beliefs that are not their own, yet at the same time hold their own beliefs very near and dear to their heart. I'm not going to preach to you and proselytize you into trying to believe the way I do. What I just want to do is give you some insight into how the East has changed my perception of the things around me. For example, I know me in the past, I was a far angrier, I would even say even more violent, not necessarily saying that I would go out and fight people on the street or something like that, but I was very confrontational sometimes if I was faced with something that would attempt to provoke me. I think you can even see this in my old videos where I got into like drama and fights and stuff like that. But I've noticed as I've grown older and as I've lived in Japan even longer now, going on 14 years I think I've been here, I find my path to be almost always 100% of the time peaceful. And instead of confronting those who attack me, trying to understand where they're coming from and why they think the way they do. And perhaps I don't know the full story. If a customer is very rude to me, if I'm working a job, instead of me being rude back or aggressive back, I might try to think about, well, is this person coming from a very stressful situation? Do they have a sick relative that they're taking care of? And this is the one time during their day where they get out of the house, and that is sometimes released as a sort of boiling point. I feel like we're in a point in our lives, as far as West goes, the West goes in general, that seems to be very confrontational and very aggressive from both sides. I watch a lot of channels, and I watch channels from both sides of the polar opposites of politics, and oftentimes I find both sides to be too extreme. Both Democrats and Republicans boasting of how their situation is the best, how what they believe is the best, and how the other side is so dumb and so ignorant. And I feel like while it's okay to have your very conservative or very liberal beliefs, trying to force them onto others or not being allowed to step outside of an echo chamber to hear the other side never allows you to open your mind further and further evolve as a person. You know, these two things would not still exist if there wasn't some sort of good to come from both of them. Whether this means that the future of the world will be broke down into tribalism that constantly tries to understand the other side, or if we finally mesh into one, you know, unison of belief that all these things that stand true in our mind stand true for everyone. I don't know. I'm not trying to predict the future. You know, I'm not trying to tell you what the future should be either. I do not think there is going to be a day where everybody sees eye to eye, because part of that is what makes us individuals, and that's kind of the beauty of humanity. At the same time, I feel like it's good to have a dialogue rather than an echo chamber and hear both sides out. And often that's what I see here in Japan. Oftentimes, many Japanese people will stop and listen to how things are done in your country, and rather than tell you, well, that's stupid, you should do this. Well, that's not how we do it here in Japan. Instead of doing that, they listen, they observe, and they take it in. Sometimes they incorporate it into their life. Sometimes they think it's utterly ridiculous, and they, you know, take a step back. And I feel like that's where the journey of my life is going, where I'm, you know, continuing to observe, take a step back and observe, and see things that are great on both sides and incorporate what I think will help me personally evolve. Is that the right path for everybody? No. But could I also lend that to other people to see if it works for them? Yes. And that's where I see this channel going. I hope I've made myself clear. I don't know. Sometimes I think I talk in jumbles. But that's where I see the channel going. One other thing I want to do, and I'm very sorry I did not do this, I want to finish all the questions you guys had that were like personal questions about Japan and going to Japan and how to structure your life there. I also want to delve into some of the reasons that people shouldn't come to Japan, and also some of the things that Japan is still struggling with, because this is not a perfect country. I'm not going to pretend like it is. There is no perfect country. If there was, we would all try to conduct our country in the same way. And I feel like there are certain obstacles or roadblocks that make Japan not the right place for some people to come. And it's not that I'm trying to dissuade anybody from come here. I'm not trying to be the dream crusher. I'm just trying to let you know, like, when is it good and when is it not good to come here? Not just for Japan itself, because it's in lockdown right now, but also just for the mental wellness of all my viewers, because I feel like that's really something that's ignored in these days and these times. Is sure, we're dealing with a physical assault on our bodies with the pandemic, but how is that mentally taking a toll on us? That's another thing I want to confront. How is it taking a toll on Japan? I hope you're all well and safe. I hope you're still wearing your masks and keeping healthy. If you did lose any close relatives during the pandemic last year, I am so sorry, and I cannot even begin to imagine how crushing that must be. I was very lucky that my family stayed safe, but my only hope is that that luck can, you know, be pushed off onto some of you, and you're not as affected by this either. I also kind of want to get into some of the life habits that Japan has, as far as the healthy living that they have out here. Finally, Japan is getting rid of the smoking aspect of Japan. It is now illegal to smoke in almost every single restaurant possible. It's illegal to smoke inside of bars. You literally have to step outside. No smoking is allowed in restaurants at all anymore, at least in Osaka. Maybe that's only prefectural I'm not sure. Let me know if you live in another part of Japan. But here in Osaka, no one is allowed to smoke in restaurants anymore. It is wonderful because I can taste my food. I don't have to deal with my asthma. I can enjoy talking to my family and taking my kids to almost any restaurant now without them breathing in secondhand smoke. That said, that's another reason that I want to step into the very healthy living that we have out here. As you can see, at 41, I'm still staying pretty slim. I'm still in pretty good shape, and I attribute that to the Japanese. If I had stuck to my American diet, I imagine myself far bigger, far more dick-eye at this age. But I have luckily maintained a pretty specific weight through all these years because of the food out here and the restriction. I would say literally the restriction of the foods I love that are bad for me because of what is available in the stores here. You know, some see that as a really bad thing. Part of me sometimes very much so misses the foods that I could buy in America, but part of me also realizes that if I had access to those, my health might not be where it is today. So I want to go over that too, how the diet here, how the healthy lifestyle here. Sometimes the only spoil to this that I see is the overly indulgent commitment to work sometimes is still killing people out here. And I'm still going to bring the negatives, you know, to the forefront when I see them. I'm not going to deny the fact that Japan has health problems as far as overwork is concerned. There's no doubt about that. That said, I want to cover those questions that you guys had, those personal questions. I want to get more into the lifestyle of how living here is compared to a Western lifestyle, you know, some of the negatives comparison, some of the positives comparison, how if you yourself want to live in a more Eastern lifestyle, how you can do that, the diet, the lifestyle, the harmony at work and in life at home with family and so on and so on. Some of that gets into very traditional Japanese stuff like the Bushido way, but some of it gets into the more modern stuff where that's totally tossed aside. All that said, one last thing is I am coming back with Osoroshi Saturday. I am sorry I have taken so long to make a new one. I have been gathering all new stories. I've got some really good creepy stories that I've been saving up. And it's not that I don't want to make the videos or I'm too lazy to, which, I mean, well, sometimes I'd say I'm probably too lazy, but it's just that I want quality. I don't want to just tell you the same stories over and over. I don't want to tell you the same stories other channels have. Many channels do these kind of stories now, and I don't want to just be a copy of those. If I'm going to go out of my way to make a very edited video that's full of spooky stories, then I'm going to make them new spooky stories that you've probably never heard before, I hope. Okay, I hope I've covered it all. I'm back now. I will be posting most likely weekly again from this day. So look for a new video next week. Until next time, thank you so much for sticking with me through 2020. And if you're here today in 2021, thank you again. You guys are the only reason I came back. I was, you know, I struggled through such a dark time the 2 years I was gone from YouTube, and if I didn't come back to such an amazing group of people, then I don't know how I would stay inspired to make these videos. You guys don't know how much you do for me as far as just simply commenting, and I read every comment to this day. And I thank you so much for any bit of time you give me to listen to these videos. Till next time, I'm Unrested. I hope you're safe. I hope you stay healthy, and I'll talk to you again real soon.